we try not to ever say negative emotions because that's not true. All emotions have purpose, but the emotions that are harder to feel,
Yeah.
the ones in our bodies that
Less
kind of make us go,
comfortable.
huh, like this is not comfortable. When people tell me, they'll be like, yeah, I was really sad, but I took a deep breath and I moved through it. I'm like, well, then I don't think you were sad. You were maybe had a moment of, I'm not saying they weren't sad. That's not fair, but sad hurts and anxiety is uncomfortable. And when you're in the midst of it, there's not a lot of higher thinking going on in the midst of it. Now you can have a good practice of, now that I'm feeling this way, I know I need to take a walk, or I know I need to sit, or I know I need to have a big drink of water. Like, I'm not saying your brain shuts down, but I think we try and breeze through these things that are just literally uncomfortable. Like, we were just talking about Cameron leaving, and I was not well. I also knew that it made sense why I was not well. I wasn't nervous, and I also have struggled, historically I've had depression, and I've had anxiety that felt unfounded. And that can be even more difficult because you're like, I don't know what to connect this to. But in this situation, I understood, but it's not like I was like, yes. And then there was some, a beautiful moment. Like, it sucked. And it took talking to her one day where I was like, oh, I feel like there's some stability, where I was able to take a breath, and I'm still feeling that way. It's just not as heavy.
Well, when we were on the car ride home after we dropped off our kid at school,
I was comatose.
You were crying a lot. Right.
Yes.
So you were feeling those uncomfortable feelings.
Yes.
Right.
And I don't know, Millie, are you a crier? We cried a lot during Milk together, but I don't.
I just looked right there. I can't.
I know
I literally just went back to that conference.
I know.
I cried a lot. I'm not a crier, maybe quite as much as you, but I definitely can be set off fairly easily.
And there's different cries, because there is. So what I just said to Millie is, about 4 conferences ago, we had a singer-songwriter named Milk, which people may know her now. She's become a lot more famous, come to our conference and sing. And I think the whole room was sobbing, because it was so of the time and so poignant and so personal. And somehow we were all her story, even though her story was so unique. And she sings this song, I Can't Keep Quiet. And we have a sign in our podcast room that says, I can't keep quiet, that Millie is facing.
Just a little clip there.
Can't keep quiet. She's amazing.
Out of all the amazing people we've had at the conference, hers was by far the most impactful.
It's surprising.
Yeah.
I knew she'd be great. I had seen her at a conference before, which is how I met her. So I knew she was going to but I was like, geez, I'm getting goosebumps right now.
I mean,
yeah. What was your experience of Milk?
When she told her story, I related to her story just personally as a Chinese American. We literally had very similar experiences. I mean, not some of the traumatic maybe experiences that she had, but so there was that. I related to her on that front. But her music, I mean, I knew the I Can't Keep Quiet piece, but when she sang some of the other ones, there was one I remember. She wrote about her dad, I think it was, right? And how you did the best that you could, that you knew how, kind of thing. I lost it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm getting teary-eyed just thinking about it, because
I think it was called Black Sheep. Was it called Black Sheep?
I don't remember what it's called.
Neither do I.
I just remember that lyric of how they are parents. We right now just do the best that we can and that we know how.
Yeah.
And so I think when I look back at how my parents parented me, I have to have compassion.
Yes.
And if we have the awareness, we can take the good that we want to take from what they taught us. And then the things that we didn't care so much for, we can set it aside. And sometimes it comes out still because it's part of me already. And I have to, be self-aware enough to know that, okay, wait, you don't want to do that to your kids. And because you remember, don't you, Millie, how you felt when you were parented that way. Okay. But again, the compassion, we're all doing the best that we can
Yeah.
and that we know how.
So step one, thank you for sharing, by the way, Millie.
Mhm.
Step one was to name it. Step two, we're about to listen to.
So that's the first thing. And already you start to step halfway back from it as the witness. So that already begins to liberate you a little bit. And then the next thing is you can also say, thank you for trying to protect me.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you fight against the anxiety, what that is more anxiety. Oh my God, I got to rid of it. I hate it. But instead, it's almost like you take a little bow. Okay, Mara, I see you. Thank you for trying to protect me, because that's what it's trying to do. And you remember that statement from Mark Twain, where he said, my life has been filled with terrible misfortunes, most of which never happened, right? So these are the stories. You meant sort of the advanced stories. Say, thank you, Mara. I see you. Thanks for trying to protect me.
How many of us say thank you for the anxiety? I don't know. I certainly don't, but I think it's an important step to work through the anxiety. I think it's so important. Like, think about it. It's so paradoxical. Why would you thank this uncomfortable feeling in my body? But that's the only way to move through it, I think.
Well, you know, remember we used to talk many, many years ago about emotional vomit? You
Yes.
know, I used to, you know, because that was so, for me, it really captured not only for our kids when they're, and again, for anybody who's new to listening, emotional vomit is just basically when you have all these emotions and they come out in a strong way. If it means that you like have a big cry, or if it's that you get really angry, whatever, you're just releasing. Because if you see emotions as energy and they're moving through your body, they have to go somewhere. So I have a really good, you know, as a body, emotions as a body work experience really helped me, because the reason why anxiety and sadness are so uncomfortable for me is I know I'm going to have to throw up.
Yeah.
And that I don't look forward to it, just like people don't look forward to throwing up. It's uncomfortable. You're choked, you're out of control, and nobody looks forward to that. Like, so when I just remember a couple nights before my mom passed away, I remember being like, okay, you know, my mom was not in good shape at the end. So there is a sense of relief for her, right? There's relief, and there is, you know, a moving forward and everything. But why I couldn't sleep is I'm like, the amount of emotional, like there's so many layers I have to go through now, you know, so much emotional vomit, and we don't get to control grief. We don't get to control anxiety.
No.
It comes up when it comes up. So
and that's a problem. We start to try to control it.
Right. But when it comes up, sometimes we're not in a space to have that experience of letting it out, and we have to contain it for the moment, which can make it uncomfortable. Sometimes it surprises us. And then, Todd, I think you would say you get anxious when you don't get anxious.
Yeah. Something's supposed to be happening and it's not happening.
Yeah.
I try to control my emotions. Like, I'm supposed to be sad right now. I'm supposed to be angry right now. I'm supposed to be joyful right now.
Yeah. So you get anxious.
So then I get jacked up about not having feelings, which is a feeling.